Hello and welcome to the latest from Heart Standard. My name is Joel Sked and I am once again joined by James Cairney. How's it going, James?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. Joel, I was quite well, and then you popped up in the video and I saw that lovely background behind you, and now I'm quite jealous, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's. I'm not gonna lie. It's very. The weather is very, very nice over here. I don't know. I might be in a kind of darkness. I try to wiggle it around so you can see some of me, but it's. See if I can wiggle around even further, and you can just see it. There we go. So I am in Tenerife for Hearts pre-season. They got here on Thursday. I arrived last night and will be here until the team leave on Thursday evening. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about a wee bit about pre-season. The team returned last month, middle to end of last month, and I've been working at Orion, an upgraded Orion, and then came on Thursday. So yeah, they've spoke to Naismith, went out to the training base today, and it's a pretty impressive setup. Had a kind of just an informal chat with Naismith, and then sat down with a couple of players as well as Gordon Forrest. So yeah, it seems like it's going very, very well. Yeah, no, I mean,
obviously, I'm still back home. Sadly, I'm not over there in Tenerife with you, but. Yeah, it seems like everything you'd want from this kind of pre-season trips. You know, nice weather. You know, again, looking beyond it, looks like a very nice, very nice part of the world to be in. What would you? How would you describe the training facility?
The training facility and the hotel that they're staying in are very, very plush. A lot more plush than what I'm staying in. My place doesn't have aircon, nor does it have hot water in the shower. So it is. It's fine. It's fine. I'm in Tenerife. That's why I'm just looking at the positive side of things. But with Hearts, so the training facility is T3, like Tenerife top training or something like that. It's a high performance centre which. Naismith has been before, I think, during his career, so he's experienced it before. Motherwell and Rangers have been out in recent years. The Reading and the Danish side, Brøndby, they've been here recently, and it caters for like crossfitters, it caters for swimmers, triathletes. It caters for a lot of different sports. Number of pools, running track, 2 grass pitches, big outdoor gym. It's a very, very nice setup. The good thing for Hearts is that they're the only football team here, so they've got access to basically everything. So that fans might have seen, they have been on social media that the players were in the pool yesterday playing water polo. What I gleaned from that is Benny is not very good at goals, and Craig Gordon is very, very good in front of goal with water polo. Apparently, Benny played one match and sat out. He's not a strong swimmer. He's self-admittedly. But the pitches himself, one of the pitches is not the greatest surface, but at the same time, when we were on it, that's just where they do their warm-up stuff. When I was on it, I was like, this is the best pitch I've ever been on. But then you get onto the pitch they actually use, and it's just a different level. So I think they'd be really happy with the setup and the fact that they're just doing training. They're not got a friendly. It means they can just kind of just chill. And have a chill. I use that term very, very loosely because, but it's more they can have a kind of structured week. They're not having to taper for a game or prepare for a game. That they've got a set structure of sessions. When speaking to Naismith, he was saying that the team were quite quiet getting off the bus this morning to the training ground just because they've done a lot of work the last couple of really hard sessions the first few days, and he was saying that. There was quite a few running sessions that he's done in his career that he remembers, and he's brought them into his coaching. And more than the guys are fit, but it was more of like a mental challenge. So today's session was all about with the ball. So we got in for the first like kind of 15-20 minutes of training, seeing them going through a few drills. They were there for about 90 minutes, then went back to their hotel, which is very, very nice. And thankfully...
Is it better or worse than the Tynecastle Hotel?
better. Just because it's in Tenerife, it's sunny. There's pools. There's there's a pool table. There's just loads of space, and it's so chill out. And like Hearts, they brought their chef. So the chef they have for the Adorium, he's come across, so which has helped that. So it's quite a slick operation. We spoke to James Penrice, myself and Barry Anderson spoke to James Penrice, and he was saying it was just like it's going from Livingston to Hearts is just an unbelievable step up in standard. It just like the structure of the of like having your own training base at the Orium, and then just the structure of the going away to Spain. So they were back. They were had their lunch. They were chilling. Craig Halkett and Barry Mackay were playing pool, and then they were going to go back out on to the complex around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock for another session. And I mean, it is roasting. It is roasting. So that's it's I'm going to say it's difficult it's difficult conditions to train at intensity, but it seems to have gone very, very well.
Is that why there's no friendlies scheduled for while Hearts are over there? Also, you spoke to me a lot about this kind of thing. Obviously, they played one behind closed doors against the mighty Parky Thistle, I believe.
Yep.
And obviously got Leighton Orient.
Thistle losing. Thistle throwing a 2-goal lead. Who would have thought it?
Well, you know what? We knew the game was won. We want to give some young guys a wee run out. You know, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I suppose we should. There would probably be people wondering why no friendly, because there often are in these kind of camps.
Yeah, so I think the plan was, I think the plan all along has been, was for a fair bit of time, was to have a friendly. Naismith wants to play between 5 and 7 between coming back to pre-season and going into the season, going into the start of the season. So we've already played Park Thistle, got 3 lined up, Leighton Orient on Saturday, Spurs, and then Fleetwood Town. I think they're looking to working on getting another, but it just didn't work out. The thing about Tenerife, he said, was it's sometimes difficult to get opposition, to get a friendly. So they just made it.
Is it just the one club on the island? Is that right? Is it just?
So yeah, it's so they so they're the main. So obviously they've got other clubs that play down the pyramid in Spain. But it's more like I don't think there's any other teams across from any other leagues in pre-season. So I think the decision was taken just that, right, let's just focus on work on the training ground, the detail in terms of what they want to go in for into for next season, and the fact that when the season starts, they're not going to get too much pitch time compared to last season, just because of the number of games, the number of the amount of travelling they're going to have to be doing. So they were absolutely fine with with just training. So I think they were pretty happy about that.
I suppose one thing I was wondering as well, I know there was a thing yesterday where the players met some fans at a bar and gave them handing out some talks and stuff like that. Like, is there a lot? Have you seen a lot of Hearts fans over there? Do you see a lot of wearing jerseys walking about, or not so much?
No, so we only arrived late last night, so and we spent the vast majority today at the training ground and then at the club's hotel. But I've not seen any Hearts tops kicking about. I've seen a few Scotland tops and the obligatory Celtic tops, which seem to be worn breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But no, other than that. But speaking to the guys, they were really surprised by the number of Hearts fans that turned up at the bar. There was probably far more than expecting. So I think it went pretty well. Everyone was delighted to see the fans. The players, and then Suso made an appearance. He met up with Gary Locke, who played under when Gary Locke was assistant manager. So yeah, that went down really well. It seems with the fans.
Good stuff. One of the other things people will be wondering about as well would be any sign of Xander Clark or a certain Mr. Lawrence Shankland yet?
No, they will be. I think they're back in training this week, so they'll be doing like their testing. So they'll have a couple of days of testing, and then they'll join in with the B team. I think what's planned, and then the team come back on Thursday. Obviously, might do a light session on the. I think the plan is to have a one session on the morning on Thursday. Not sure what the plan is for Friday, and then they've got the game on Saturday. So it's probably like start of next week where they'll properly get up and running. And then Vargas is back then as well. And in terms of Graham mentions here, know Gerald Taylor was flying yesterday to Scotland. Is there any word on when he might be officially signed? Not sure. That's the honest answer is not sure, but I do think it's progressing well, and barring any major hiccups, it should happen. When it should happen, I'm not too sure, but fingers crossed it's potentially this week. But again, what I've learned about transfers is that things can get slowed up very, very easily. So positive is that the deal should be getting done. I'm not sure when, Graham, though. One thing Graham also mentioned is obviously Andrew Walker said who knew how funny Benny and Denham were, and Graham was saying loving the content for the training camp and loving the camaraderie with the players can only be a positive for the new season. So yeah, I would urge anyone to watch Heart's YouTube, Benny and Aidan Denham talking about teammates. It's very good. It gives you an insight to some of the mindset and mentality of some of the players, or just their personality. But that's one thing that's really noticeable, is that Barry and I sat down with Daniel Oyogoki and last week, and then we sat down with Musa Drama today, and straight away James Penrith as well. It's like they've signed guys who just seem really switched on, just really nice, really engaging, and just kind of just fit straight into the team. And that's like Blair Spittle, James Penrice, who know the players haven't played against them, or Daniel or Musa, who have just came across. They just seem to have kind of slid into the atmosphere and the environment really, really well. And that's a big thing. And speaking to like Naismith and Gordon Forrest, it's a big thing they've tried to foster over the last 12 months, is that kind of culture and positive environment. And I think that comes through when you see the players going on holiday together, when you see players in front of the camera together, when you see them training together. It can only be a good thing.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think the word you used there was like culture, and I know it's maybe the sort of thing that some people might hear and then kind of roll their eyes at and go, "What do you need a football team?" But
yeah, but very high performance podcasty.
It's a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit, but it's one of those things that is really important. I think like obviously it's not unique to Hearts that the players get on and they're nice fellas. Like that's fine. Most clubs have kind of got that going for them, but it's still a really important thing to have. I think it's one of these things where these training camps when they come around, yes, they're all about getting fit, getting players fit. Yes, they're about kind of issuing tactical instructions, learning all that side of the game. But it's also this other side of it as well, because the training sessions. How long is the training? Like 4 hours a day, maybe.
So all in, yeah. So today was an hour and a half on the pitch. They went to do some gym work, so say kind of just over 2 hours, and then they were back at training today for probably, I think it was another between an hour and 20 minutes. So yeah, it's
actually a small portion of their day is actually training, and it's most of it is them just kind of cutting about, hanging out, and like you say, integrating new members of the team and just getting to know each other. And no, I think that's nice. I think it's nice, the kind of team building thing. Again, if it's not too, like you say, high performance, but I do think that is an important aspect of a football club.
It absolutely is. It's very. I think it's very important for football, especially when it's more now than before, where people might get ideas like footballers go in for like 10 o'clock, train a couple hours, then go home. That's not the case anymore. Certainly not the case of Hearts, where they're in first thing, they're stretching, they're doing kind of prehab or rehab, and then they're at training, and then they go in for lunch together, and then they're kind of back out, well, it's the gym work or a double session. So they actually spend it's just like a work colleague. You spend your whole time together, and anyone that's been in employment, and if you enjoy the work environment, it makes a massive difference. If you like the people you work with, then it makes a huge difference to how you operate and how you go about the business, and that kind of reflects on what Naismith has kind of pushed for. The club has pushed for the Orium, where they've overhauled. They've got the bistro. They've brought in chefs last season, and they made a massive difference. Like it's daft saying that, but the massive difference in terms of every person I've spoke to who about like the bistro or like the biggest change, they talk about the food. It's like it's unbelievable, and it makes them eat healthier. The young boys, their body composition, everyone looks a lot lot more like an athlete, and that's one thing you notice that standing at the side of the pitch today, like Cammy Devlin, Lewis Nielsen, Finlay Pollock, Halkett, Frankie Kent. They're all units, all big guys, and you don't really think about it, Cammy Devlin, but it looks like he's been doing bicep curls every day over summer because he looks jacked, and it seems like just a really good environment to be in. They've made upgrades to the Orium as well in terms of the pitch. Hearts have now got their own ground staff at the Orium looking after their own pitches. There's a bit more privacy as well, so like everything they can do to make it better is they've been trying to do. So yeah, it's been a really positive pre-season so far, especially when you compare it to last season, 12 months ago, when no player had been signed. But at this point, it was Michael McGovern was the first
over the management job position as well.
Yeah, exactly. There was the confusion on the manager position. The first signing was made 4 days from now, a year and 4 days from now. Michael McGovern, a third choice goalkeeper, and then the other guys came in like late July, early August. Whereas they've got them, everyone's got in, like they've got their main players in now. Going ahead season, so everything's set up to be really positive. I know from past experience of Hearts, you're thinking, okay, something's going to go wrong. I just know it, something's going to go wrong. But at the moment, it's all trending in the right direction.
Well, that's because the transfer window's actually only been open for like a week or so, and there's still plenty of time. But still going to be bids coming in. We've talked about obviously Shanklin's the one that everyone's going to kind of cross their fingers and hoping to God that he just stays. But you got other guys as well, like like Alex Cochrane, for instance. We've spoken before about the fact how there might well be interest in him. Obviously, you've got the likes of Atkinson and Civic on the the club are open to offers for as well. So it does seem as though the Hearts have done a lot of their business early on, but it does seem as though there's still going to be more to follow. But it does seem as if like the bulk of it's the bulk of the new arrivals are in, and from this point on, it might well be a case of just like for like replacements if anyone does go, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. So a couple of guys have asked in the YouTube chat. Andrew Walker said any other irons in the fire, and then Brian as Venters has asked any Shanks update. No Shanks update as far as I'm aware. There's not been any interest or offers. It's still the same old. And then Andrew Walker, any other irons in the fire. I think when you look at the squad, and you've kind of nailed it, is that I think it's a very good position now in terms of the depth. I think there's only kind of two ways Hearts will react now. If someone becomes available that they think who's been a target for a while, or they think could be could be gettable, or someone who is could be a player who they could use in 6 to 12 months' time, they'll go for. But only if they come available. And then another one is if, like you said, Cochrane someone comes in for Cochrane, someone comes in for Shanklin, and they're having to react. But other than that, it's a very, very strong position to be in. And I suppose probably I'll ask you the question that Graham asked us the last time we were on, and I'll bring in a question here from Drew, is about where else in the team that needs to be strengthened. And we both know it's like the area we've talked about is a central defensive midfielder. And Drew asks, what's your thoughts on Ryan Jack? Could do a job for us, surely. So I've got an opinion on this, but if I was to say to you, James, this is just hypothetical because I'm not sure he'd be on the club's radar, but if Hearts signed Ryan Jack.
So I mean, I think he's a good player, Ryan Jack. I don't think he's become a bad player overnight. I think it's a bit weird that towards the end of the spell at Rangers, by all accounts, he was fit and just not even getting on the bench or whatever like that. My problem with it though would be the fact that I don't think he gets into the Hearts' best midfield, and I also don't. I can't imagine that somebody like Ryan Jack, having come from Rangers, would be happy being, kind of like second choice or like a substitute or like. I think it's unlikely, and particularly when you factor in he's presumably got reasonable wage demands as well. I would think. I don't think I'd represent value for money. Like, is he a good player? Yeah, but does he get into? I don't think right now. Like sort of Devlin and like Neuenhoff, like and Beningame, like they very rarely all start together. It's normally that's two of the three positions. So you've already got one excellent midfielder who's missing out on a weekly basis as it is. Bringing another one, I don't think there's any point, particularly when you look at centre mid and it's a really well stocked position. Yeah, I know we're talking about that kind of number 6 area where there's maybe room for improvement or maybe room for a little bit more depth. I don't think Ryan Jack's that kind of player. I don't think he's the answer. No.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. I think the way you nailed it down was not value for money, because availability is a big quality. Yep. And he's not been available. He's not been available for Rangers. And do you want to bring in a guy who is what's his age?
32, I think, maybe 31.
32, yeah. So he'll turn 33 during the season. Do you want to bring in a 32, 30-year-old that is? He's not going to guarantee that he's going to be fit all the time. He might not train, and then we're talking about an environment and culture. You're not wanting to sign someone and you're having to base. They're like, oh no, you can just train. You can train this day and that day. I just don't think that's a great thing to have within the squad. So yeah, like you, I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's right for Hearts. And I think it's not a risk because you've got so much depth there, but it's a risk in terms of the money you might have to pay for him or pay him when there's, firstly, would he play all that much in terms of the other options there? Probably not. Would he possibly prevent one of younger big guys getting some minutes? Yes. And would he be, like you said, value for money? No, I don't think so. So I completely agree with that. What else can we got here?
I guess I was going to say the other area as well I've been thinking about is, and this would depend on some outgoings, but potentially centre-back as well. It depends how often Naismith wants to play with the back 3, I suppose, but looking at it just now, sort of 6-6 centre-halves on the books just now.
Yep.
Obviously, Toby Sivic's likely away by the looks of things. Lewis Nielsen could well end up going out on loan again. If that were to happen, I think you probably do need another centre-back in there, particularly with, given Halkett's injury record over the last couple of years. I know he's not happy when people mention it, but it's still a fact, and it's still something that has to be considered. So I would think that if Civic and Nielsen were to go, probably another centre-half. If it was just Civic, maybe, again, it depends how often you want to play the back 3, I suppose, because I'm very much a believer in the kind of 2 players for every position kind of thing, and you can maybe get away with 5 centre-halves if you're playing regularly with a back 3, I think that's just about fine, but it's one area of the squad where it could potentially be a little bit light on numbers depending on what happens in the next month or two.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it'd be interesting to see, because at the moment you look at just say you're playing a back 3 mostly, and you're actually looking at having decent depth there in terms of 2 positions. So you've got 2 left-sided centre-backs in Kingsley and Rowles, 2 stopper centre-backs in Halkett and Frankie Kemp, and then 2 right-sided centre-halves, Lewis Nielsen and Daniel Oyugoki. So, I agree if it was get to the point where Nielsen was to move on, and then you never know who else goes. But at the moment, I think that's one that you just keep an eye on. Because at the moment, like Halkett, he pretty much had his off season in like February or March, and then he's been training. He's been first team training since April, and he's only had a week off during the summer, and he's been kind of training 4 or 5 days a week, and he's looking in good shape. So I agree. I think that's an area you potentially look at just in case.
That's something. I'm sure that the club will have lists and lists of available players for every position that they've got that are keeping tabs on just in case somebody gets sold or whatever. But I would think that's another area of the squad that could potentially be strengthened, I think, between now and the end of the window. But apart from that, it's kind of the squad's pretty fine, to be honest. And again, you've got lots of players who can play lots of different positions as well. And I think the squad's in a really good place, which is important given how many games are going to be coming up over the next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's you just kind of just looking at it at training day. It's so healthy. They were doing a drill when we were leaving, looking at the fullbacks. You just had basically attacking midfielders crashing the box. It was like Danda, Spittle, Grant, Boyce, and that's without adding Barry Mackay and others into that into that group. Scott says, wrong decision to let Toby go. His pace would be invaluable in Europe as others don't have pace. I think that's Daniel Goke, I think he kind of covers that area. I think he'll bring plenty of pace to the back line. That's certainly how what I've kind of heard about him in terms of his ability to get around the pitch.
Yeah, Gerald Taylor's no slouch either.
No, yeah, because of course you've watched him, and he can shift as well, which is good. Again, it goes back to James Govan here. Is big physical Hearts back? You better believe it, baby. I think I think we're heading that way. So
get Piazza back. Somebody must have his number. Let's get him back. Big physical Hearts. Let's go.
He is. I think he's currently out injured at St Johnstone because of a domestic instance, just an accident. I think he injured himself in the house. So yeah, not sure what's going on there. Before we wrap up, Andrew asked, now importantly, where's Joe Savage? Joe Savage is not on the trip as far as I know. He's still with the club, but I think it's still expected that he'll depart. When, I'm not too sure. And then Brian Venters asked, any word on extending Naismith's contract? Not heard anything at the moment, but we're hoping to have a chat with Andrew McKinley at some point. So that's certainly on my list of questions that I'll be asking him when we get around to it. But yes, we'll leave it there because I've got some a fair bit of work to do after today. I would just say thank you very much, everyone, for continuing to engage, subscribe, read, etc. If you could like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, that would be much appreciated. There'll be plenty on the site across the next few days in terms of James going to be doing a piece looking ahead to the Leyton Orient game, just looking at the connection between Hearts and Leyton Orient. And then we'll have stuff from the march to the game on Saturday. We'll be interviews with Musa Drama, James Penrice, Jan Danda, Blair Spill and Gordon Forrest going on the site across the next few days as well. So a variety of content going up on that. And then be sure to check Heart Standard or the website or my own personal account for anything that's happening on in Tenerife regarding the pre-season break as well. But until we might come back on Wednesday, because that's the next time we are going out to see Hearts and speak to a couple of players, speak to Naismith. So we might do a video on Wednesday depending on timings. But until then, have a good week and see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.